Hello and welcome to Straight Talk with me, Sifiso Mahlangu. We've all heard about the controversial book, The President's Keepers. But here to respond for himself is Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, Mr. Richard Mdluli. Highlighted briefly in the book, he's here to tell us about why he contravenes what the book says about him. Mr. Mdluli, I welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Sifiso, and I'm happy to be here today and have a say about the incidents that have been indicated in the book.
I read about your involvement in the book, The President's Keepers, involvement in what they call the President's Cabal, that you run the network of crime intelligence around the sitting head of state, President Jacob Zuma. How do you respond to Mr. Jack Pauw's book?
So let me start by saying all what Jack Pauw have written there, especially regarding myself, I'll respond regarding myself, is not part of his hallucination. I don't have any network which I'm trying to do a web around President. What I know is I'm just a normal police officer in the South African Police Service since I joined the police service in 1979 until to date. So I've read the book, but I didn't write the book. It's unfortunate because Jack Pauw, when he wrote that book, he never even tried to have an interview with me or have an interview with my lawyer. Should he have done that, I think he would have been able to get the facts right. But now what he did, he just got information from his surrogates. And from there, put some insinuations, interpret them, and make a book for himself. And he knew that if he put me in his book, that book will be bought a lot. Because in 2014, he was the one who was running a campaign about me on City Press with Adrian Basson. They were writing me every Sunday. So what he did, he copied from what he has written in his City Press in 2014 and put it in his book, of which those are lies. For instance, he spoke about me having worked at security branch. Those are blue lies. I can ask you, Sifiso, to go to the National Head Office, to the Division of Personnel Services. Let them get my file. You go through it yourself with them. You'll find that since I've been in the police, I've been an investigator of cases. I never worked in the security branch. So that's the first step of him being lying in his book. Secondly, he spoke about me having oversaw the investigation for a case against the sitting president, which is a rape case in 2000. Those are other blue lies. He's talking rubbish and nonsensically. Because the person who was overseeing that investigation was Major General Taiwe. And me in 2000, I was a deputy area commissioner in Southern Cape, in Western Cape. I was not here in Gauteng. So it shows that Jack Pauw is kind of a man who can lie about a person if he hates him. And I'm not surprised because there are people he's working with.
Who are those people?
No, some of them is Colonel Rulofse, because he mentioned him in his book. It's Colonel Rulofse, and Colonel Rulofse, you know, is the person who's handling this case, which I'm currently attending court in High Court in Johannesburg.
Do you think he's also working with Mr. Paul O'Sullivan?
I may not say it, but I can confirm that he's working with Jack Pauw, because Jack Pauw spoke about him very good in that book. And I don't know why he spoke about him as a good investigator, because he never investigated that case which I'm busy attending case. He was just a docket carrier.
A lot of South Africans are responding to the fact that you are a suspended divisional commissioner of crime intelligence because there is a murder case hanging over your head. How then do you respond in the capacity of an individual still employed by the state?
I think I will respond to this issue. I once responded last year on the 19th of September when I was interviewed by Mpo on question time at SABC. The South African Police Service have got its rules, acts, and policies, how it runs its affairs. When you are suspended, it doesn't mean you are fired. You are suspended in order to allow the investigation to carry on, and if the disciplinary investigation, that disciplinary must carry on, and then you attend it, and then if you win the disciplinary, you go back to work. A criminal case doesn't prevent you from going back to work.
But this case has been pending from 2011, and you're still paid every month.
Yes.
And that is money from the taxpayer that is still funding you.
I'm not the cause. I never suspended myself. The South African Police Service brought me back to work. Freedom under law went to the North Gauteng High Court and stopped the minister as well as the National Commissioner from allowing me to do my job. And the management have been trying their best to institute disciplinary processes. But I can't talk about it now because it's sub judice. It's currently on, and I don't want to go deeper on it.
According to the book, you've worked with Mr. Arthur Fraser, Nongobo Jiba, to facilitate this web around President Jacob Zuma. One must admit a lot of points made in the book don't make perfect sense. But when your name is written there in chapters, South Africans must question, Mr. Mdluli, how involved you are in the criminal underworld, particularly now that since 2011 you have been suspended.
The person who I can speak about is Jiba, Advocate Jiba. Advocate Jiba in 2009 was just a mere prosecutor. Even in 2007, he was a mere prosecutor. When I was called by head office, when I was still the Deputy Provincial Commissioner in Gauteng, to go and have a team which must investigate the case which was labeled against Mr. Gerenel. It was not opened, it was never opened by me. It was opened by whoever opened it. We were just requested to go and investigate the case. So, they shoot the messenger when he does his job. I was doing my job. I don't have any qualms or any hidden agenda against Mr. Gerenel. I was talking about Jiba. Jiba is a prosecutor. Any investigating officer who is handling a matter or is investigating a case sometimes need a prosecutor to ask certain things in terms of the investigation. There's nothing wrong about that. Even today, as we're sitting here, many investigators, they work hand in hand with prosecutors.
In the past, you've told members of the press that this is a project against you. Is this still the project?
It is still a project. It is still a project which was initiated in 2011 specifically for me. That I must make sure that it must not become sunset. If the sunset,
the murder charge was also part of the project?
It was part of the project. And that murder charge you spoke about and say, no, there's a murder charge hanging. That issue of a murder charge was dealt by the magistrate Fefir in Boksburg. He dealt it in 2014 during the inquest, where he cleared me on that thing. Hence, I was never even charged with a murder case. They came with the what you call the outcomes of the investigation. They come with the thing of saying I have kidnapped, I have assaulted people and all that. But I don't want to go deeper in that because also it's sub judice. The judge have listened to the evidence of both the state and the defense. I think at the right time he will give his judgment.
Why don't you take Mr. Pau to court?
After I have given his judgment, I will come back here And then I'll tell you who were the people who were involved in all these things. Because I know them, all of them.
Why don't you take Mr. Jack Pau to court?
No, my legal team is working on that. Before I came here, I spoke to him. He's busy with that. We won't just keep quiet about this matter, because we know he's a blue liar. He is lying to just impress his surrogates and all these people who have told him lies. He don't even verify them. He just come and write a book without verifying whether these things he's writing is true or false. He just throw people's names in the mud, which is wrong. This is a democratic country, and everyone have got a right. If somebody trampled on your toes, you stand and fight it. We have courts who will be able to help us in order to fight him. We're going to do that.
Did it surprise you that NEC member and former Minister of Finance, Mr. Pravin Gordhan, was seen at the book launch signing it?
My only concern is about the person who wrote that book, because he put a lot of people's names and lie in that book. For instance, beside me, there is a certain Mtunzi who is attending court with me. Yes. In that book, Jack Paul wrote that that man resigned and then was re-employed, which is blue lie also. That man never resigned since he'd been at work. And he said he'd been promoted as a brigadier. That man is not a brigadier, he's a lieutenant colonel until today. So you could see how he cooked things to suit what he wants in his book, so that people can buy it. And you know that if you speak about Mdluli, everyone is interested to hear what are they saying about Mdluli. And hence he threw my name in there in order that his book can be bought. That's what he did.
Did you inherit some of these enemies from your time at the African Police Force?
No. You know, I'll tell you where did this started with all this Jack Paul and Adrian Basson. They're fighting this issue of, I once arrested Mr. Kharinel. That's the whole issue about them. I worked with my white colleagues in the Southern Police Service. If you touch one, all of them, they come for you, majority of them. There are those who with a paradigm shift in terms of their mentality. But there are still those who think in terms of the old apartheid era. If you touch one, they say, no, this one, we won't rest until we get him. And that's what they're trying with me. And you could see that if really there was a case, I would have long been sometimes in prison or fine and all that. They keep on postponing and doing this and going to court and prolonging it, and they're just pushing time. They said, no, man, there will be time when this guy will retire. Then when that time comes, he will retire, and then sometime we can finalize the case.
So all this has begun because you arrested Mr. Kharinel, who was then a state prosecutor, who subsequently moved to become a part of the lobbyist group AfriForum.
That's correct.
So because you arrested him, you're saying all these white investigators came after you.
That's correct, because if you look, Rolofse, Colonel Rolofse, Colonel Pitful June, General Sbia, who is now working at Johannesburg Metro. All those people, they come from Scorpions. They were all working as a team at Scorpions. And Mesa Kharinel were also at Scorpions. So it's a come together. If you once touch one of their own, they will try every way and means in order to deal with you. And that's what they're doing.
Does it surprise you then that Mr. Kharinel is pursuing a private prosecution of Nongaba Jiba?
No, I know that the issue of fighting, it started years back. I said it when I was interviewed at SABC. I know that in 2007, when we were involved in the investigation of Mr. Kharinel, at a certain stage, Nomdiba was suspended and they wanted to fire him. And just because she was part of the prosecutor who helped us in that investigation, And because of that, according to me, she was suspended, and then they wanted to fire her, and then she went to the labor court, and then she requested an affidavit from me in order to support that she's helping us in the investigation, of which I did. So the labor court threw out that suspension, and then she was back at work. So because of that, as I've already indicated, that this haven't started now, it started a long time ago. It's still that fighting, that no. At the end, we need to get rid of these people. So they'll use each and every avenue in order to chase whoever they dislike, because they've got money. They've got money. AfriForum got money, and they use that money in order to chase the black skin.
So you're saying AfriForum is like an Afrikaner's tank or an apartheid tank?
It all depends. I can say sometimes it looks like the old Budrebond.
Joined by a former state prosecutor?
Yeah. They want to target certain individuals who they hate, and then they will deal with them. You see? That's what they're doing. And they will choose their own judges or prosecutors who they know at the end of the day they will deliver what they want. You see?
One of the charges or allegations leveled against you, Mr. Mdluli, is that you're running a crime intelligence agency from your home, that your network is very deep because it extends to the days of apartheid. How true is that?
I reject that in all contempt I can, because if I was able to do that, I think I would have been more advanced on many things in terms of ensuring that I guard myself and so on. But I can tell you that I've been threatened several times in my place of residence. There were cars who come in there and try to threaten me, and I have to report in Boksburg the cases I've opened, the inquiries I've opened, and those cases, nothing has been done. You see? So, I don't have that power. The person who's acting there as the head of crime intelligence currently is Major General Ngobo. He's the one who's heading intelligence. I don't have intelligence. I don't have even one person who I'm managing as intelligence. Yes, I know intelligence. I don't thumbsuck it. I know it. I developed myself, and this government have taken me through various countries to do a on-job training courses. You can't beat me. Hence, you can see that they want to make sure that I go into the drain. Anyone who tries to work smart and support the government is an enemy of certain individuals within the opposition parties. You need to work negative or be disloyal against the government, then you're a good person.
Let's talk about Mr. Opa Ramogibe.
Yep.
Who passed away many years ago, who according to many media reports was dating your lover and then died, unfortunately. And many of the fingers then were pointed to you. That case was subsequently withdrawn and charges were later reinstated. What happened?
No. The murder case was withdrawn, and then there was an inquest hearing in Boksburg.
Yes.
On 2014. That's the one I indicated before, that Mr. Fifir dealt with that evidence. And he cleared me and those who were arrested with me with regard to the murder.
Had you met Mr. Ramogibe?
The investigating officers, because they could not do anything with the murder, they came with the remnants of that case. Look at what else can they get in order to recharge me. Then they come with this allegation of saying I kidnapped, I assaulted.
Had you met Mr. Opa Ramogibe?
You mean before he was alive?
Yes, when he was alive, when he allegedly dated your lover.
I will not want to go deeper in all those things. Why? It is because that matter is still on the roll. And I've said it is sub judice. After it has been finalized, I think I will still have an interview with you. I'll give you all the details. And I'll even give you a copy of the book which I'm writing with the facts, not lies which have been written by Jack Paul. I will also indicate to you how they operate, Jack Paul and others in that book. You'll get it.
Is it not better then, for the sake of the revolution, for the sake of democracy and truth, to release those facts now in the public domain? If Mr. Jacques Pau is lying, let it come out in the open now, whilst his book is still on the shelves. Is it not better that even you, Mr. Mdluli, tender your resignation to save the taxpayers' money and then go head-to-head with Mr. Jacques Pau? If you have these facts, why don't you level them now in the public domain?
Okay. I've indicated that I'm busy attending a criminal case and I'm attending a disciplinary case. Those incidents are part and parcel of my book. I can't put them now while these things are still hanging on the air. And I can't write a half book. I want to put everything there. If you want to have your meat taste very delicious, you put all the ingredients so that the meat tastes very nice. So I can't write half, and it is normal, but I forgot to put these things. So that's why I say just watch the space. I know by next year I think everything will be over about this matter of a criminal case and a disciplinary case.
If not in the book, why don't you put them out in the public domain? If there is this cabal of white Afrikaners, as you put it, who are against every person in the revolution, who are against you, who have a lot on their plate, many wrong things, is it not better to put it out there and have those things tested in a court of law? I mean, besides you authoring a book, should you not put it out there? Let it be tested by a court?
I have said my lawyer is busy with certain things. And the law has a long arm. I'm not a rusher. I'm not a person who runs 100 meters. I'm a person who goes according to my pace. At the right time, you'll get it. I'm still alive. I'm still strong. You'll get those things. And you have asked me why I'm not tendering my resignation. You don't cook allegations against me and say you'll use them to force me to resign from my job. It doesn't work like that. I don't allow that to happen. If ever I'm guilty of anything, I'll be found guilty, then I'll be dismissed. If I'm not guilty, I'll be cleared, then at the right time, I leave. You don't use false allegations against Mdluli and say, I want to force him to resign. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to resign. I'll wait all those processes which are currently on the roll. When they're done, at my own time, I'll say goodbye with a clean name. I don't want to live with the cloud hanging on my head. They'll say he ran away because he had allegations. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to impress anyone.
Mr. Mdluli, since 1994, only one police commissioner has finished his term. Only one. All the others were either fired, suspended, some have allegations still hanging over their head. Does that concern you?
No. I don't want to comment about my employer and how things are being done.
I want you to comment on a force that you have worked in your whole life. I want you to comment on a department that you say you have served diligently since the days of your youth.
Yeah, but if I comment, then it will eventually force me to comment about my employer. I don't want to do that. I don't want people come and say, we have brought the organization into disrepute and charge me for other things. I'm not going to comment about that. Let the management deal with whatever's happening in the South African Police Service. I'm outside currently being suspended. If I was inside, I will be able to give you the overview and what I think.
As a citizen of the Republic, are you concerned of the look of the police force today?
Once again, let's reserve that. Let us not talk about it.
What is the plan for your future?
No, the plan of my future, there are a lot of things which are on my hands to do. I've got a lot of work to do.
What happens
I still
when
have to help this country progress while I'm outside on many things. I've got a lot of plans which I have on the table. At a certain given time, when my cases are over.
What happens when you don't win this case?
Well, if I don't win them, there's always courts which are able to deal with matters where one is not satisfied. So there's appeal courts, there are constitutional court, there are a lot of things. So, and I'm not a person who's always a negative when I approach things. If I knew really I was wrong and I'm guilty of anything, probably I would have resigned a long time ago and leave. I know I'm clean. I'm fighting with the dark forces. Currently they're dark, but there will be a time where they will be exposed.
Let me put it like this.
We know them.
What does the future hold for the controversial Mr. Richard Mdluli?
I'm not controversial. Richard Mdluli have got a lot of plans in his hands. He have got a lot of things to do. I've worked for this service for currently 37 years. And next year it will be 38 years. And probably it will be my last year in the South African Police Service. I'll be leaving next year.
What are your plans beyond the police service?
There are a lot of things. There are business things. I must help the government to do well while I'm outside. How? I can't put on the table.
Okay. Yeah, when you do see your future, come and talk to me again. It's been a pleasure to host you, Mr. Mdluli.
I'll do so. But I'm going back to my lawyer now. I'm going to deal with this of Jack Paul.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Jack Paul, be aware Mr. Richard Mdluli is after you. I am Sifiso Mahlangu. This is Straight Talk, channel 405 on DSTV. We are called ANN7. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.